Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome to another TV Central one-on-one podcast. I'm Aaron Ryan. This is episode 18, 2023, and the 11th of the Australian Survivor Elimination episodes, although this is the 14th elimination overall. With so many people blindsiding each other, where the truth starts and ends is becoming very blurry. Hayley did give the OG heroes assistance by revealing that the vote would be on Sam. Despite having two idols amongst the group of three, Nina and Shaun chose to say themselves instead of Sam, obviously mistaken that Hayley was actually genuine with her information. Sam Webb is the 14th person eliminated from Australian Survivor. Sam, thank you for joining me at TV Central.
Thank you, Aaron, for having me, man. I appreciate you taking the time. And it's a sad day for anyone that follows Sam on Survivor.
It definitely is. Look, we can get into the specifics in a moment, but three people, two idols, super unlucky for the vote to land on the only person that was not safe. I mean, just the mathematics and chances of that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rookie mistake, man, if you ask me. Look, so many different things can happen and go against you or against your favor and work in your favor. And, as I always say, Survivor is made up of so many different choices and decisions, and it can just take one simple choice to go wrong and everything to change. So we did what we knew best. We thought we made going into tribal. I thought I was safe. I was going to play the idol for me, or I was going to get it given to me to play for me, and didn't happen. So, yeah, pretty rattled. Very tough day in the office today, and to play two idols wrong it's a pretty bad move.
I know that Shaun and Nina used obviously the idols for themselves, but to be fair, when Nina gave you the information from Hayley that the vote was on you, you did think that was an outright lie, didn't you?
Yeah, because I did, and as much as I even would have entertained it, I mean, I didn't think too deeply why she would be coming around right now at this part of the game. And to be honest, she'd flipped on us two tribal councils ago, so why would I just automatically start believing her? And bear in mind, I was coming for Hayley since day one. So I hadn't really spoken or worked with Hayley. So my trust levels for her, and someone like me who plays with my levels of trust and integrity, it was very hard for me to believe that. And then I had Nina and Shaun both say, well, maybe she's lying. We don't really know. And just kind of verifies your decision you make, I guess.
I guess, does it make more sense now that you're watching the episodes back that Hayley would be helping?
Yeah, it makes definitely more sense with what you see on TV for sure. But there's a lot that you don't see also. So the decisions aren't that easy. Unfortunately, I wish they were. I see it. I definitely see it. But there's just, as I said, there's just so many things that can go in your favor or against your favor. And yeah, we were always, again, we were meant to play the idol for me. It was always going to be like that. But unfortunately, I was probably too nice and said, Nina, just play it for yourself. And then I looked at the jury and realized something was wrong. And I knew that, the vote was on me. And Shaun had a chance to play it for me, and he was doing self-preservation, and that's Survivor. You've got to preserve yourself most of the time. So I get that.
So aside from saving the wrong two people, your plan otherwise was perfect. If Nina or Shaun had have said your name and you had immunity, the vote would have been George. And that would have been a major moment in Australian Survivor history, a kind of a sliding doors moment. Then I guess the chase to the end would have been anyone's game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure, mate. I think that would have opened up everything, and it would have really been fun. And it's bittersweet in a way, because it's kind of like it was just there in front of me, so close, still so far away. And that's why you can't be in your mind like, what if I did this, should have listened to that, should have paid more attention to that. It's a mind wrecker. So I try not to do that.
Well, we won't go on about it. I just really have one more major question on that. But the bit I don't get is, yes, if you had one idol, then it would be more difficult decision. But if you had two, I just don't see why you guys would not. Well, I suppose it was Nina and Shaun that were picking, but you guys would not have picked like one for you in case Hayley was telling the truth, and then one on Nina and Shaun in case she was lying. Doesn't that cover more bases? You basically were betting on the fact that Hayley was 100% lying, hence the other two voted themselves out for immunity.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely agree. But as I said earlier, I mean, going in even after Hayley said that information, Nina already agreed she was giving me her idol to play for me. So
Yeah.
I was naturally in tribal council feeling pretty safe up until that very last part where I'm like, don't worry about playing it for me then, Nina. Just play it for yourself, because I was too nice. I was like, what happens if I am wrong and she all right and she goes home? I'll feel shit. I'll feel so bad. I let my emotions get in the way again. It was like,
Hey, has Shaun brought you that carton of beer yet?
mate, I don't know if it's going to be one carton or a carton of beer every week for the rest of my absolute living life, I think is probably the better answer.
Well, if he goes on and wins, it should definitely be that one. Nina made a comment that everyone has tried to get rid of George before, but this was now the ultimate moment. Is that really true? Because no tribal council has had a plan really to get rid of George yet that I've seen. I mean, why not?
Mate, that's the question I think a lot of people want to know. I don't know, mate. It was just I wouldn't even say it would have been the perfect moment to get rid of George. It just would have been a perfect moment for the minority to become a new majority, or flip the game on its head, as opposed to having this simple alliance just knocking off the bottom feeders and then turning on themselves. I think that was probably would have been more accurate. I think George could have gone many times like myself, but he's hung on and he's been outspoken and made choices and put fear and doubt into people's mind at certain stages, which has led people to believe that he's safer in the game. So I don't know. It's a very good question.
George has obviously completely dominated this game. I cannot fathom why he's still there, but that's, yeah, we've gone through that. He even betrays his own, like Stevie, and yet still commands the game. I know from a personal point of view might be different, but from a strategy survivor point of view, is George the greatest player ever on Australian Survivor?
Mate, I haven't watched every season, so I can't really answer that. I can tell you though one thing: he's very good at manipulation. I'll give you that. He's very good with his words, and he's great. He's great at manipulating, and that is a big recipe for someone who's extremely good at turning the tide at certain points in this game. And he lives and breathes Survivor, which I take my hat off to him, man. He's a great player. He's a really good player, but he lacks in other areas of the game that other people are much better at the game than him. So I think all around, I don't think he's the best all round player, but I definitely think he's probably the best strategic player for sure.
Do you think George will get to the final vote, or do you think he'll get unstuck before that?
Mate, I've never been one in the game to be after George. I was more worried about Hayley, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was never worried about George. He was just doing his thing. I never had a problem with George. I was always coming for Hayley. I think he can go, he could certainly go all the way. And if he gets all the way to the end, he'll probably get my vote. Simply because he has played a good game, and he's the way you can craft outcomes and convince people otherwise is smart play. And it's something that I'm not as good at and I respect that.
Yeah. And Nina, Simon, and Shaun are just going to be picked off one after the other next, or do you think, like with Survivor, anything can happen?
Yeah, mate, it looks that way. It really does seem that way. But I think with Survivor, as we saw last night, I mean, anything can happen. Anything is possible in this game. Literally anything. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if something like out of the ordinary could happen. I mean, because it's been happening for the last few tribal councils, so you just never know. And yeah, it sounds obvious to just vote Nina, Shaun, and Simon off, or probably Simon, then Nina and Shaun. But mate, it's not that easy, this game. You're playing with, it's too hard now, this game. It's gotten so hard. People are just brutal.
Well, Simon is definitely in real trouble now. It looks like the next episode we'll see George coming after him. I mean, as we said, anything can happen in Survivor. But if you were Simon now, what would you be doing now to try to stay in the game?
If I was Simon now to stay in the game, I'd be winning my next challenge. I'd be winning the next immunity challenge, and I'd be, if I was him, I would be working on the people on the bottom of their alliance, as well as Nina, obviously, and Shaun, because he's already working with them. But that's what I'd be doing, because he's clearly on the outs after swapping ship again. But who knows? I mean, you just have to find someone's. You have to. I feel like the game of Survivor, you just really got to listen to people's pain points and what they're frustrated with. And once you do that, you listen enough, people will tell you what they really want to do without telling you sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you strike while that iron's hot, I think.
How did you manage the game versus friendship? Because there's definitely a few that I've spoken to that would not have a barbecue now on the outside with some of the others. Is it easy to separate for you, or do you understand the personal feelings that come into this game?
Now, I find that, like, as much as I pride myself, Aaron, on mateship and loyalty and integrity and shit, I'm pretty adaptable too. Like, I turned a couple of times this season, and I enjoyed it. Like, I worked with people who'd burnt me before, and I liked it, and I stayed solid with on certain people, and I enjoyed that. But like, I would catch up with everyone in the outside world. I have no problems with anyone, and I mean, it's a game at the end of the day. Like, yes, you're playing with people's emotions. I get it. You really are. And there are certain times where things can get pretty heated, and borderline bullying or whatever else could be at play. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is a game. People have to respect that, and I think it all comes down to just sharing how you really feel. If you've got a problem with something, speak about it.
When you were eliminated, you would have been on the island just short of 800 hours, yet the viewers would have only seen 16 hours of footage. What is it, generally speaking, that we're not seeing?
There are always more than one side of a conversation, man. And sometimes the audience sees a couple of those sides, but there might be like 10 different conversations had that you don't see all that lead to that one decision, and who was involved and whatnot. That's a tough question. That's a tough question. But there's a lot of trying to fish. There's a lot of trying to get sunshine. When you're in a forest, it's like always damp. So you want to get dry. It gets cold at times. It rains. It's windy. The elements are rough. You got to try and cook. You're doing rice. You're doing beans. You're cooking. You're having chats. It just, not to me, there's always something going on. And I think because the audience only does see so much, that's one side of the story. I don't feel like that's the complete story, but it has to be that way, because you guys don't have 800. We don't have 800 hours to watch everything. It wouldn't be Survivor. It would be a Fugazi. It just wouldn't work.
It'd be big brother up late.
It wouldn't work. So you got to they have to craft it to a story which makes sense, and the narrative is the best one I've seen so far.
All right, and finally, who would you like to see win Australian Survivor?
I'd like to see, I'd really like to see Simon or Nina win Australian Survivor. I feel like there's been a lot of adversity there. It's going to be an interesting game ahead, that's for sure. But yeah, I'd like to see one of them win.
All right. Well, we haven't seen the last of you because obviously you're on the jury now. But Sam, you were part of the most frustrating episode of Australian Survivor history, I think, and certainly one of the biggest sliding doors moments ever. Just one different decision, and the plan would have worked, and we would have been watching a whole different show. It's absolutely unbelievable. But you did play a great game, and thank you for joining me at TV Central.
Thanks, Aaron, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the support, mate. And thanks for the questions. And good luck with everything. And keep supporting myself and Survivor.
Absolutely. Sam Webb, 14th eliminated from Australian Survivor. The show continues Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. TV Central will be talking to almost every eliminated contestant. There'll be a podcast available around lunchtime the day after an elimination. That's it for this episode. For all the latest news, podcasts, streaming info, guides, and ratings, head to tvcentral.com.au. Until next time, I'm Aaron Ryan, and thanks to Sam Webb. Bye for now.